Hey, welcome to the show. It is Saturday, the 7th of August, 2021, and these are a bunch of stories that I think you might like, or that I like, or I thought you might find interesting, or maybe you might have just missed while Australia was distracted by COVID news and our Olympians are raining gold right now. You may have missed that on Thursday, the Morrison government announced $82,000 for each stolen generation survivor who were forcibly removed from their families in the Northern Territory, ACT, and the Jervis Bay area. 75,000 of which is for compensation and 7,000 for well-being measures. It's something active Indigenous members have been rallying for at least 20 years. We'll come back to that number in a sec. This will affect around 3,600 members of that community. Oh wait, you probably didn't miss that because it was all over the news. Of course it was. Instead, you probably missed the well-timed news 2 days before of new federal regulations scaring the shit out of Indigenous-led charities. Changes were tabled on Tuesday, which would make it easier for the federal government to strike off non-profits and NGOs from the charity register if they are deemed to have committed low-level offences, like blocking footpaths or unlawful assemblies. Shit that protesters tend to do. And of course, this is largely seen as a silencing measure. The acting chief exec of the Victorian Aboriginal Legal Service said, under these laws, the Aboriginal Legal Service could be deregistered if one of our employees attended a protest organised by a third party and temporarily obstructed traffic during that protest, or someone unrelated to our organisation doing so on the basis of our social media post drawing attention to a rally. Under the current laws, charities are only struck off if they've deemed to have committed more serious offences or indictable offences. In fact, earlier last year, a government review said to get rid of that law completely, not make it more draconian. And to add insult to injury, the commissioner of our not-for-profits and NGOs told the Senate as recently as June that only 2 out of 59,000 organisations had been deregistered under that law in the 4 years that he's had that position. Another organisation said that this flies in the very initiative, the Closing the Gap initiative, that these redress payments are being issued under. And see right there, have no misconceptions. The Morrison government is like an abusive partner who hurts you, but then makes you a nice cup of tea and buys you a cool new car. Because this was perfect media sleight of hand, distracting everybody from the fact that as Australians, as white Australians, we've still got a little bad in us. Before, when I said at least 20 years, see? I was referring to this redress scheme, this very thing that the payments are coming under, being a recommendation of a Human Rights Commission's landmark report from as far back as 1997. That's 20 years. It's something which Pat Turner and Maisie Austin said that Aboriginals, some of whom are now in their late 70s, early 80s, had been waiting for to be actioned. Talk about waiting to exhale.
I also know, however, that there are many survivors that have died waiting for this recognition. My mum being one of them.
Maisie Austin said that a lot of them are suffering from ill health. A lot of them passed away. Their families have missed out because it can only be the survivors who claim compensation. As well, Morrison is hardly a mastermind here. He isn't the first person to do this. Tasmania started their reparations scheme in 2007. South Australia started theirs in 2015, New South Wales in 2016, and Victoria last year. This throwing shade on Western Australia and Queensland, which we're still waiting on. And while we're on timing, this throws into question a class action lawsuit brought against the federal government by those very same Northern Territory survivors in April. The law firm involved, Shine Lawyers, said that it remains unclear at this point how that will be affected by these payments. What was made clear, however, was that as a condition of these payments, survivors who accept the payment from the Commonwealth Government will have to waive their right to legal action to seek additional compensation. Now look, I don't mean to make these payments a bad thing. They seem to be largely a good step. But I just thought it was worth mentioning that while our eyes are elsewhere, there is some PR tomfoolery going on in the Morrison government. And the payments probably shouldn't be looked at as the be-all and end-all of acknowledgement of Australia's very dark and colourful history. Especially given that the new regulations that have been tabled could affect things like the January 26th protest. But you know what? I'm obviously hardly affected, if not at all affected by this. I am not part of the Aboriginal community really at all. Do you think this is anything to be worried about? Drop a comment below. I welcome it. I need my eyes opened. Seriously. And then let's talk about Merve Taskin. Oh, you don't know Merve Taskin? Well, let me educate you. She plays golf. She loves the gym. She drew some much needed attention to the current Turkish bushfires disaster. She's a fan of the hip to the side pose. She's a massive proponent of the, oh, you're behind me shot. She's in her early 20s and hates clothes. She has over 500,000 Insta followers. And she might be going to a Turkish prison soon. Yeah, that's right. She's an influencer. Ugh, influencer. Who wants to be famous on the internet? What kind of moron? Oh, you mean you want to know about the prison thing? Well, I admit that I did drop that bomb. Well, on Thursday, she revealed that she's being prosecuted in her home country of Turkey for posting joke pictures on Instagram with sex toys that she had purchased from Amsterdam's Sex Museum back in 2020. See, under Turkish law, any person who publishes obscene material can be fined or sentenced to jail for up to 3 years. Now, those posts have since been deleted, and to be fair, I wouldn't show them anyway because I wouldn't want Erdogan to cancel me. She also revealed that she's been arrested twice since her return to Istanbul over these pictures. And in a text, a spokesperson from the museum said, "Our museum is intended to educate people all around the world about the history of sex. We admire you for expressing yourself and posting such pictures." Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Amsterdam, but I imagine any photo you take in Amsterdam would be a problem in that part of the world. But if Erdogan is so hellbent on pushing a conservative agenda to his base, I think maybe he should just ban all of Amsterdam. Cancel them. Cancel Amsterdam. Anyway, that's all I really have to say in that story, and that's everything for this show. That's it for this show. And honestly, might be a short one because it's been a tough news week. It really has. So if you have any comments to say, I'm obviously a white man commenting on a community that I don't really have a membership in and don't really have much of a say in. So anything you have to say about that, post below. If you have any cool pictures of sex toys you bought from Amsterdam Sex Toys Museum, or any just cool pictures of the Amsterdam Sex Museum, post those below. Let's make these comments a travel vlog for anybody who bothers watching the show or making it this far through the show. And I promise that next week's show will be better. Alright, that's it. That's bye-bye. Next week. Till next week.
Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.